It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the Magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared, and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead, I became part of their story.
So, still a bit groggy, are we? Don't worry, the sedative will wear off soon enough. Easy now. No need to hurry. Get your bearings and report to me upstairs.
Ugh, what a dismal way to wake. In the belly of the beast. Let's see if I can grope my way out. Ugh, bones are so boring. Without flesh, there's no memories to be had. An animal pen. How utterly charming.
Shaking her fluffy coat, the sheep eyes you balefully, her rectangular eyes like letterboxes to the void. With one sharp hoof, she kicks you right in the shin. The Magister Guard snorts and sniffles as he sleeps. You're almost impressed that one man can make such a phlegmy racket. The Magister Guard snorts and sniffles as he sleeps.
Is my shift over? Are you here to relieve me? Oh, wait, you're no Magister. You're a sorcerer. What are you doing here, filthy elf? Choose your words carefully. My fists ache to meet a new face. Those idiots can't even walk straight without mucking it up. Was it Rick's? I bet it was Rick's. Can't just leave the prisoner alone, though. I heard he might be the one causing trouble upstairs. If it's all the same, I think it's best he comes with me. Some offence intended. You hear that, Emoire? We're taking a walk. Keep your hands where I can see them. Hurry it up, sorcerer. We haven't got all day.
A dead Magister. Somebody'll have to take the blame for this, and it won't be me.
So much for a peaceful stroll.
Empty.
No key? No problem. And I'm back where I started. Nowhere to go but up.
I leave my calipers? Why, you're looking a bit more chipper. There you are. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash.
No known associates. In fact, he seemed quite averse to spending time with the others.
In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters. Dungeon? You have the gall to call my laboratory a dungeon? I'd be quite annoyed with you if you didn't look so honestly perplexed.
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh, well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits, and if you're a particularly good girl, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good.
She frowns and peers at you closely, resting the back of one hand on your forehead and taking your pulse with the other.
Delusions such as these are rare, but not unheard of. I recommend a cup of mulled wine and another night's sleep. Just take it easy. Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those source spells of yours? See what happens.
Currents of magic surge inside you, boiling, bursting, then breaking, only to fade back into your soul like rain into the earth.
My, look at the concentration on your face. All will, but no result. There you have it. See? The collar's function. It neuters you of sorts. Makes you unable to cast Source. For your own peace of mind, of course. Yours and the whole world's.
It seems as though there's a...
Good gods.
A young magister stands pale and silent. Her knuckles whiten around her weapon as you pass. Behind the magister, a bloodied mass lies in a heap. Gore and limbs lie at odd angles. You can't make out a face amid the mess.
There's been a murder. A sorcerer was killed by one of your own. Lucky you were busy getting your collar fitted at the time, or you'd be a suspect like the rest of them. Waters is investigating. She'll figure out who did it. Always does. Move along.
Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwalker followed the source that did this. Finn didn't see it like that. He was desperate for us to help him. Two things scared the living daylights out of him. His own shadow and his own source. We'll find out who did this. Speaking of,
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. Didn't even stir. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. Not with that collar on, you aren't. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform. Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that? Think about it. It's one of you who got killed, not one of us. We want to find who did it and bring them to justice. Who's your real enemy here? You let me know if you hear anything. Whoever did this is dangerous.
As the dead man's flesh slides down your throat, you feel his consciousness enter yours. His memories are yours to experience. You are Finn. Your heart is heavy. You know too much. It's all too much. You met him. A bright light blinds you, then fades. You feel a tremendous power in your hands, but they are shaking so hard you can barely use them. Suddenly you're on this very ship, crouched in a corner, hugging your knees. A figure approaches, an older woman. Her eyes are kind. She comes closer. She says she wants to talk. She reaches a hand toward you. You grasp it.
No marks, no indications of a struggle.
The memories end. You are no longer Finn. You return to yourself with a jolt.
So, anything interesting for me? I'll take that as a no. So, anything interesting for me? From his memories? You ate something off his corpse? Please, don't tamper with the evidence. Especially not like that. As for the older woman, I'll have to check out the ship's log. If she's aboard, I haven't met her myself. Must avoid us Reds when she sees us. If you meet anyone like that aboard, maybe you could talk to her. Casually. See when she last spoke to Finn. But who?
Why won't you sing? A no doesn't become a yes over time, you know.
It was one of them.
That knuckle and the tongue tried to cause
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Reassure you and you shut up.
Are you an elf?
Being mad.
Wow. I want to be an elf when I grow up, but without the scar.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
If you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
You look a little bit elfish. Maybe your daddy was an elf. My daddy's name is Frida. He's waiting for me at home. I'll go home soon.
Always hungry.
Do you know Losa? She's a really good singer. I'm better though. Listen. La 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 la.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here.
Ah, there you are. Wife. Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not-at-all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us would
The young woman seems about to raise her hand, but quickly remembers herself and nods pointedly at the excited children.
Who indeed? Why, my name is, Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peebe.
The children break out into giggles.
I say, it is.
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? You presume right. Nope. Trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss. The utterer, the better. Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles as though no change came over her.
Good luck, Chief.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
Name? Be mad.
Mad? Insufferable.
The Divine Order wants to know.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
Not so fast. Name? Well, you aren't here on my list. Scram, eh? We're trying to catch a killer here.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
The elf is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He looks up, his big round eyes scanning your body, absorbing every detail.
Got this one unleashed now.
He reaches out and examines your face, tugging at your ears and prodding your nose.
Fascinating.
He sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to page, completely oblivious to your presence.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
I am not as brittle as all that, young lady. My fingers will hardly... Although perhaps you mean... Oh dear. I seem to have crossed some cultural taboo. How... difficult. You have my apologies, fellow elf. Perhaps I should demand the same from those red-cloaked humans. They laid their hands on me more than once.
It was one of them. I know it.
You put a knuckle in it. I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
Ah, yes. The niceties. My name is Fane. I am a scholar from... Well, I am a seeker of knowledge. That is enough. It is pleasurable to meet you.
Mad? Insufferable? Surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
Is there? Wherever do you keep it? Certainly not in your books. I have been reading this one for several minutes, and I have yet to find a single insight into the mysteries of the universe. It is simultaneously too detailed and insufficient. I know the beginning of this tale and the end, but I am rather missing the middle. Tell me, what do you know of our world's history? Most unusual, and if it's not too rude to suggest, not much of an answer. No, I want to know about the Celestial. I want to know about your gods. This text tells me that they created all creatures, but nothing of what came before. Where did these gods come from? Who are their people? Where are the others of their kind?
The elf's face freezes for just a second before he waves his hand dismissively.
Oh, it's just one of my idle curiosities. We mortals do like to consider these things, do we not? Now please, run along. I have a world to decipher.
No amount of pestering will get the elf to take his eyes off his book or respond to your questions.
Mad? No. Insufferable? Surely.
What are you trying to do? Did you see the body? They ought to let you taste a bit. Maybe you'd find out who done it.
That's enough now.
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, Gero. You hear that?
Your kind always hung closest to our divine, like wolves around a campfire.
His eyes snap open. He looks at you and frowns.
Murder? Ah, that's what they were going on and on about. I wouldn't know anything about it. I kill a man. He knows who done it. His daddy knows who done it. And the mayor knows who done it too.
His eyes flutter shut, and he assumes his position of repose once more.
Whether they catch me is another matter, but I ain't one to hide my accomplishments. The ship, of course.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
And? A common sort of sound, isn't it? Where there's talk, there's health. That's all you hear, though. Listen close. There now, just like that.
Squeak!
Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There, you heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, Gero. Good news.
As soon as the Inquisitor gets here, we'll hand
It's the wheel. The wheel. Don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Burn my beard. That means if we've been traveling for, yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy.
How dare you classify this?
Ah, so you've eyes as well as ears, eh? You'll go far, mate. Even here. Yeah, no indeed, Gero. But that ain't my final destination.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all, thank ye kindly, Gero.
There has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magister's more concern than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
Never thought you'd...
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity.
Got this wolf on a leash.
Well, well. What have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you'll do.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
My, we are fierce, aren't we? Not to worry. I'll soon remedy that. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook?
Till overboiling a bit of cabbage becomes a crime, I shall hold my head steady.
Goodness gracious me, what a bore. Off with you. Quite clearly, you wouldn't have done at all. Shoo.
Never thought you'd end up a prison guard, Vic.
That right. I always knew you'd turn up. I'm busy watching for clues, sorcerer. Go take your sub-story somewhere else.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
Good find.
They're picking us off one by one.
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guarding him. Noticing you, he straightens and beckons for you to come closer.
Watch your back, new fish. There's a murderer on board, and I'd bet 3 months' pay it's this tramp Ifan.
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again. He leans in and adjusts your collar with a sharp tug, balancing its weight so it no longer presses unpleasantly on your neck. He winks.
Pinches less that way, right?
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
We used to know each other, more's the pity. I was his commander many, many, many moons ago. Isn't that right, Vic?
Standing far back from Ifan, the tight-faced Magister draws one finger across his throat in an elaborate fashion, but says nothing. Ifan grins, flashing pointed white teeth.
Same as he was at 14 years old. Only difference is somebody gave him a bigger sword and now he's Johnny Big Pants. No. The dead man, Finn, is it? I'd no business with him. And I wouldn't put a man down without good reason.
He glances over at Magister Victor, who's staring back at him with pointed intensity.
Damn shame sheer annoyance isn't reason enough. The Joy, I've heard a lot. Nothing good. No surprise there, since Bishop Alexander runs the show. Wonder if we'll get to meet the Ringmaster himself. Easy now. I might think the same, but Vic here will blow a blood vessel if he hears you talking like that.
What are you conspiring about over there? You, elf, what's your name?
Oh, don't mind him. Vic's just got a bee in his bonnet. And that bee is me.
Name?
Magister Victor looks at you suspiciously, then scrawls something illegible down in a tiny notebook. He scowls at you as he stows the notebook back in his voluminous robes.
Away with you, at once.
Ifan performs an elaborate pantomime of keeping quiet, one finger in front of his lips as he leans back against the wall.
You put a knuckle in it. I'm trying to concentrate.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make.
Here's the register, ma'am. Good, good. Magister Williams has just about done with the last passenger.
I've never dined on anything less.
You faring okay so far?
And I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Trust me, with Bishop Alexander in charge, things will get a lot better from here on out. He's God-woken, you know. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted fast.
You don't know the first thing about sauce.
Keep those bolts trained on her, and if she...
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts sauce, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What's happened?
The Magister lies on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from a dire-looking wound.